The impudence, the audacity, the unmitigated gall of those knuckleheads of liberty podcasters, daring to voice opinions outside the mainstream of accepted thought. Listen if you dare. It's angry, it's funny, it's even sometimes sad, but it's always based on freedom and justice, as you will see. Here's our host, Jason McPhee.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. We are coming at you on February 23rd, 2022. And, every week it seems like it's amazing that the world is holding itself together with Biden in charge, the COVID craziness, it just seems to be erupting all over the place. But before we get into any of the topics of the day, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. And my name's Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So let's jump right into it. Boy, I tell you, all of the craziness seems to just be coming down to Canada lately. We've talked about it a little bit on the show, but it just keeps on unfolding. I almost thought we were done. I mean, I figured, okay, the truckers were there. They seemed to have been pushing it to the limits, and it just seemed like there was nowhere to go. I guess I underestimated the authoritarian nature of the little dictator Trudeau there, because I tell you, he started arresting people, started locking down bank accounts. There's been incidents of people being, I guess, violently assaulted is the best word to put it, by the police. One woman was run over by police on horses, and she was hospitalized. There's other cases, too, of truckers being pulled out of their trucks and in some cases beaten by police in Canada. So it's just, to always take for granted that our neighbor to the north was a heck of a lot like us. And, it's sort of like makes you wonder what the world's coming to. Did you guys have any thoughts on this whole Canada thing? It's kind of distressing to me.
Notice where the violence is coming from. It's coming from the central planners. Notice that Justin Trudeau had told us about the Confederate flag and the Nazi and the swastika was being waved in Canada, and this was a symbol of the racism and the Nazism of those truckers. This is the same Justin Trudeau who was protesting, if you could call it that, with BLM and the Antifa during the riots when they were burning down our cities. Now this little dictator, now as you call him, Jason, as you correctly call him, have now decided that a peaceful protest is not something that he can allow in what we thought was a democracy. We are seeing nothing but attacks on Western civilizations, on the values of Western civilization. Look at what's going on in Australia right now as we speak. Well, they just did open up a little bit. They're allowing flights back into the country. But Australia have gone mad. France is going mad. We here in the United States have done some draconian things that makes your stomach turn. We have seemed to have forgotten that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is supposed to mean something here in the United States. And now our neighbors to the north, Canada, who is supposed to be not much different from us, we have this little piece of shit. Oh, God, no, I'm sorry. This little dictator now trying to tell us that peaceful protest is a crime against the state. God help us. Western civilization is under attack. And it all started because of COVID. But believe me, if it wasn't COVID, it would have been something else.
I just have a question about, that was great, Leon. Yeah,
Thanks.
That was a succinct and accurate depiction of what's going on. But my only question is, here in the United States, when a police officer takes an oath, it's always, or I would assume it would be, well, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't say that about police officers in jurisdictions, but I think, and I know the military does, they take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, not
Right.
a particular leader or not a particular branch of government or anything else, but the Constitution, the law of the land of the United States.
Yes.
In Canada and Australia and similar places, do they have any such thing as that? Or do these, when they are sworn in as government goons, do they take an oath to protect and defend the government or the whoever's in power? Or, is that what they're doing here? Because they seem enthusiastic about their job at this point. And if I would think that if, the police, the ones that are enforcing these illegal laws, I mean, because they even are saying that it's illegal to protest in Canada now. Oh, okay. No can do anymore, huh? That whole, redress of grievances stuff. That's all thrown out the window. Now that's an American thing.
Yes.
I'll grant you that. However, our rights, many of which are enumerated, not all, but many are, and one of those is to petition the government for redress of grievances. And that doesn't mean do it from the comfort of your living room, but it means to go to where the government is, in which case, if you live in Canada, it'd be Ottawa, right?
Yes.
Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
So if that's what's going on, and it seems to be, to me, and it seems to be going on peacefully, and these guys breaking into the cabin there where somebody's in there. So that person inside is doing some violence against the police if they have to break in to pull him out, kicking and screaming, and take him to jail. Is that what's going on? Is that what I'm supposed to believe?
It's a good question.
Yeah. So anyway, what makes a police officer so enthusiastic about enforcing an illegal against the God and mankind thing that somebody's doing, in this case, protesting. So, and it's unlawful activities of engaging in demonstrations. Oh my gosh, can't demonstrate now in Canada. We just lost Canada because the police chief enthusiastically warning citizens against participating in unlawful activities of engaging in demonstrations.
Imagine that.
Well, one thing I wanted to jump in there too to address something that both of you guys said was they actually had to fire the first police chief in Ottawa. So this is actually the stand-in police chief who's come in and said that. And I guess they thought he wasn't aggressive enough. And so, it may not be that everybody is completely, goose stepping to Trudeau's drum beats, I guess, because they're not. Yeah. But
okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, you're right. I am going to call upon the police officers of Canada to stand up for what is good and right and lawful in the eyes of nature or God, if you will, and to stop doing these illegal things. Okay, stand up to Hitler when he wants you to take the Jews and mow them down with a machine gun. Okay, stand up to the Nazis when they want you to go door to door and yanking any Jewish people hiding within. Okay, stand up and don't do it. Okay, that's what I'm saying to you. If you have 1 ounce of non-despotic thought in your brain, then act upon it and do what's right. And yes, you may get fired, like the Ottawa police chief might get fired. But I'll tell you what, I'd go home with a straight face. I'd be able to look at myself in the mirror. But you Nazis, you goose-stepping, take the boot and step on the neck of the poor, defenseless little minion trying to demonstrate against further illegal laws, like you you got to get vaccinated, or you got to do this, or you got to do that, or you got to do the other thing because we say, not because it's right or because it's going to do anything, but because we say so, because we're running you. You have no freedom over us. We have power over you. You have no freedom that we have to honor, and like honorable men do. Okay, this is about force. This is about coercion. No, none of this. Trying to give what's the word? The opposite of force: persuasion. None of this persuading you to get vaccinated. None of this persuading you to wear a mask. No, we are here because we are all about force, because we are with the government. Okay, there you have it. Essentially, that it's between the difference between force and persuasion.
But this is just the problem, though. The central planners are always about force. Okay, they're always about force, because even here in the United States, where we live in this constitutional republic where we have certain enumerated rights, where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is part of our founding principles, they are still mandating. They still want to use force to get their ends.
Yeah. Well,
it reminds me of the cartoon where you've got a plank, and out on the end of the plank and below it's out over a cliff, and there's a whole bunch of people standing on the plank. At the end of the plank is the central planner telling everybody, okay, you do this, you do that. And that central planner, if the people step off the plank, falls into the abyss. Okay. So I'm saying that these officers of the law that are out there jackbooting around all these truckers need to come to Jesus and stop what they're doing.
Well, I do have a little bit of sympathy, though, for some of these police, because, I mean, if you think about the yo-yoing that's gone on with the political class for the last year or two, I mean, just recall about a year and a half ago, it was literally let protesters burn down whole city blocks, right, and take over things, and you had little weenies in charge like Trudeau, who was literally taking a knee to the protester. I mean, not taking a knee as in physically, I mean, getting down on his bent knee to the protesters, right? So, and then now suddenly they're coming up on these protesters who are, the only thing you could really say that these protesters are doing that to me is slightly pushing the envelope. When you start blocking bridges, that starts to get in the same thing as blocking freeways and other things like that. And once you start doing that, at some point, it does start to infringe upon other people's rights. And two, the honking, which apparently is a problem for some people if they're going to be honking for 24/7. But in that case, nobody seemed to have a problem when they were burning down your city outside. Everything was on fire. It was mostly peaceful at that point. Now it's look out, the Nazis are coming. Right?
But Jason, even though I hear your point, but every single protest, and everybody loved to point to the civil rights movement. Every single protest inconvenienced somebody. Even those BLM people was burning down our cities, they inconvenienced a lot of people. Some of them were even in the streets, and the highways, lining up in the highways, blocking traffic. One of them even got killed one night. I think we spoke about this on this very show. So every protest, and the reason why it is a protest is because it's going to inconvenience people. That is how people are going to take notice. So the question then becomes, where do we draw the lines? Just because these people took their trucks and went up in the state capital, they did it peacefully, not like this phony bullshit. Oh God, I cuss again. Sorry, Lord, I'm sorry. Not like this nonsense about mostly peaceful. It was none of that. Okay? Yes, they were honking the horn, and that was probably kind of bad. I'll grant you that. But every protest inconvenience someone, and that is what protest is about. And as long as this is done peacefully, in Western civilization, in countries that are based on Western civilization, no government should move against them. And we're having this going on in Canada right now. These authoritarians in Canada moving against peaceful protests. Yeah.
Well,
I'm the pilot. I'm the one that's supposed to be cutting loose once in a while. Look what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's not just Canada, because apparently now we have a freedom convoy forming here in the United States as well. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to start in California, I think, and then work its way to Washington, D.C. But
it's supposed to start in the West, well, California maybe in particular, yes, and then walk across the country, yes.
So this is something that, it's hard to know exactly what the, exactly what the people are calling for in this protest, other than to support the Canadian truckers. I'm not 100% sure, because one of the issues we do have is that, at least in the United States, it seems like government has started to backpedal on some of its mandates, and the mandates haven't been as strict as in Canada. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what the truckers are calling for here. Do you guys have any thoughts on the trucker convoy in the U.S.?
Well, they want to remove the mandates and restrictions also. I mean, there are still some that are firmly in place. I mean, look at the mandates on the schools, on our school kids. That is still there, nearly all over the country. So that's one of the things. I mean, I don't know if they're making that an issue per se, but it's part of all the mandates and restrictions that have gone on as a result of COVID. So all of that is incorporated into their convoy that they're developing. And I hope they keep going. I really do. I want them to highlight the things that have been going on as a result of this COVID, most of which have nothing but based upon lies and not science.
Yeah, I have 3 words to say to the truckers going to bat coming up in the United States. Best of luck.
Indeed.
That's good. Keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking.
That's another one.
Those are 3 words too. Keep on trucking. Indeed.
I like it.
Well, there's been some other news as well out there, and one of those things is the spying on the former president. And this Durham report has come up recently, where some information was, I guess, leaked out a little bit to sort of signal to everybody what's coming. But it looks like there are some allegations that the Clinton administration, or not the Clinton administration, excuse me, the Clinton campaign was spying on Trump's campaign both before and after he became elected, which starts to really bring up some 1984 kind of overtones going on here. And it's hard to know exactly what those allegations are, because we've heard, Fox has kind of played them up strong, and some of the other media have sort of downplayed it a little bit. But I guess we'll see ultimately as those charges do come out in the future. What do you guys think of this one? I think it's pretty scary stuff.
I'm just wondering, do my Democrat-leaning friends still believe in the Russiagate thing with Trump in collusion with Putin?
Many of them
still
do.
Believe that?
Many of them
do.
do.
They really? I mean,
yes.
That's
I know one. I know one.
You know one. Okay. I think I probably know several. I'm not absolutely sure, and I'm certainly not going to poke the bear and ask them. I just, because, I just don't want to do that. But, yeah, I mean, that's some dyed-in-the-wall, what is it, where you just love your party and party above all else. Party before principle.
A fanatic.
Yeah, okay. Not the word I was thinking of, but yeah, good enough. It's like, seriously. Anyway, this is basically about that. I mean, right? I mean, it's beyond that. It's different from that. I understand, but anyway.
But I don't want to sound like I want to be hyper partisan or hyper whatever it is here. Okay?
Partisan, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, look at partisan is what you're looking for. Okay. Okay. But this stuff to me is scary beyond scary. Okay. What we had going on here was that the Clinton campaign was actually spying on Donald Trump, on his campaign, on his office, and on Trump Towers. They were spying. They were trying to get derogatory information so that they can say that Trump is an asset of the Russian government. But they found nothing. Then Trump became president, and the spying still continued. Now, Jason, you said it was a Durham report. It was not a Durham report. This is in a court filing, because the Durham, he's the special counsel. He has filing charges against a guy by the name of Michael Sussman, or I don't remember his first name, but his last name is Sussman. In the filing, he stated these things, that this is what Clinton was doing. Now, on top of all of that, we also have the Steele dossier, which was nothing but total fabrication. And that dossier was also used in other court filings. So there's a whole intrigue going on here about the Clinton campaign, the Trump campaign, and Trump presidency. The point is though, we always have this, what's the guy named, the one from the Watergate scandal, the one he used to work for the Washington Post?
Woodward and Bernstein?
Yeah, Bernstein. Was Bernstein second, was Bernstein first name? I don't remember. But anyway, Bernstein always liked to get on MSNBC, and every single thing during the whole hoax about Watergate, he always liked to get on MSNBC and tell, oh my God, this is worse than Watergate. But suddenly Bernstein have gone silent. Now that we start to find out about the depths of the spine that was ongoing on the Trump campaign and into the Trump presidency, he have gone silent. We have not yet heard him say, oh, this is worse than Watergate, when it actually is. Because we have some real problems with this thing here. I hope we get to the bottom of this, because the FBI was involved in this. I really hope so. Michael Flynn, who was a 3-star general who served this country for 33 years, his life was destroyed because of these people. So I hope Durham gets to the bottom of this, and I hope a lot of people go to jail. I really do.
Well, hopefully we'll find out more in the coming months, I guess, as this stuff actually comes to court. But I tell you, it's certainly enough to get you triggered. And Tim, good guys with guns.
Speaking of triggers, okay, well, a California jewelry store owner, he stopped a robbery attempt by pulling out a gun, saying, I had no choice. This is in the San Francisco Bay Area. 5, count them, robbers come in trying to steal in a smash and grab. So it just happened very quick, and I had no choice. Body, BHATTI, told the outlet. According to San Bruno Police Department report, the attempted smash and grab robbery took place Friday afternoon. This was recently at the Tanafaran Mall, when 5 intruders believed to be in their teens to early 20s. Remember, the young, the strong, and the many. Here's both young, strong, and many. Entered Ma's Jewelers. One of them was carrying a crowbar. Store surveillance footage was released to the public and shows Body, the owner, verbally confronting the man with the crowbar when he was trying to smash a jewelry display. When he turns to Body, he was raising the crowbar, and Body took out his firearm, pointing it at the man with the crowbar. That prompted the man with the crowbar to leave before another intruder drew a firearm of his own. Body then pointed his firearm back at that man, eventually leading all of the men to flee the scene. Guess what? According to Lieutenant Gene Wong of the San Bruno PD, wrote in his report that there were no injuries and that both weapons were never fired. The 5 men were wearing hoods but were captured on the video camera footage. Wong said the investigation is open. The police are still looking for the group. Once again, will this make that thing we always hear, oh my God, guns kill so many people. But do we ever see where they save somebody? Good comes out in all directions. Nobody gets shot. They didn't even, none of the guns were fired. Yet it stopped a crime, and who knows, potential injury, because who knows what would happen even with the crowbar. You can kill somebody with a crowbar.
Yes.
And so will this make the statistics when they come out and say, look at all the bad things the guns are doing? Like, point to something good that a gun does. You got to kill them. You got to kill them with that gun. You know, you can't just point it at them and expect good things to happen. I mean, it's just going to escalate the violence. Oh, my God.
Well, I tell you, speaking of escalating the violence, I mean, and whose hands are the right hands to have guns too? And boy, I tell you, we look right back to Canada and our knucklehead noise patrol as we wrap up the show. And little dictator here, this is the guy essentially who has all the guns, and he's sitting around telling everybody a while back at a fundraiser, I guess in 2013, how much he admired China. And so let me give you guys the quote here. He says, there's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green. We need to start, investing in solar. There is a flexibility that I know that former Prime Minister, I guess, Stephen Harper must dream about. Having a dictatorship where you can do whatever you wanted. I find that quite interesting, he says. So, I mean, good God, it's central planners. They just love to crack down their correct way of doing things on everybody else. You guys want to jump in on this?
Fire away, Leon.
Well, Justin Trudeau. I mean, this actually was in 2013. This was before he became prime minister.
Sieg
but
Heil!
He showed.
Sieg Heil!
He is trying to tell us how wonderful it is in China. Okay, and this is the same China that is right now committing genocide against the Uyghurs. Okay, and Justin Trudeau is showing his admiration for them. And notice, so far, I've not heard him condemn China for their actions against the Uyghurs. And Trudeau is now showing his true admiration for the Chinese government, because look at what he's doing to the truckers. These central planners always in the back of their mind, always think they could force us to do what their will dictates. They always believe that. And Trudeau is showing this right now with these truckers in Canada. He has gone so far as to just freezing people's accounts just because they donated to the truckers. Could you imagine the madness here? This is how the Chinese government would behave, and Trudeau is showing it through and through. God help us.
Well, I would suggest that China turned their economy around not because they turned their economy around based on currency manipulation that punished the Chinese citizenry. And that's how he did it. If you want, by just making their products much cheaper than you can get them anyplace else. And of course, that's going to, so-called make the economy better. Based, I don't know what metric he's utilizing, but it's wrong. Okay. And he's wrong. And whoever he said that to was a bunch of economic imbeciles in the audience that bought that nonsense.
Well, I tell you, we're just about out of time now, and we certainly don't have any more time for the unacceptable views of Justin Trudeau right now. So we've only got a few more seconds, but thanks so much for joining us this week, and we hope you join us at the next one. Until then, stay free.
Indeed. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.